year before those two others were killed. The counselors weren't paying any attention. They were making love while that young boy drowned. His name was Jason.
Hey, you guys, look at this.
It's Camp Blood. This place is on the same lake as we're gonna be.
It's great to have you all here at our new counselor training center. I'm sure there's one thing I don't have to tell any of you. Being a counselor isn't the gravy summer job everybody thinks it is.
Hi, this is Brandon Ford.
And this is Jed Shaffer.
And welcome to the Blind Rage Podcast. We are doing a very special episode for Jed because Jed, Mr. Motor City, is our designated Jason Holic. So we are doing Friday the 13th Part 2. And I have a feeling this is going to be a good one because he's got lots of anecdotes and trivia and all kinds of stuff to share. But before we get into that, I'm going to get the plugs quickly out of the way. I'd like to encourage everybody to please check out my books in both paperback and Kindle editions by going to Amazon.com or the Amazon app on your smartphone, typing in Brandon Ford. You'll find my author page. And if you want notifications via email whenever I have a new release, just click follow. You can also find my titles in audiobook format on audible.com or the Audible app, typing in Brandon Ford. If you don't already, please follow me on Instagram at writer Brandon Ford, on both Twitter and Letterboxd at Brandon Ford. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, suggestions, recommendations, please feel free to email me directly at blindragepod81@gmail.com. Last but most importantly, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Jed, what do you want to promote?
My podcast, The Gamer Parent Strategy Guide, is available on all your major podcast distribution platforms. Please check it out if you're a gamer or a parent and not a gamer. It's for all parents because pretty much all our kids play games. And we all need a little help with it. So check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at GPSG Podcast. And the show has a Facebook page, Gamer Parent Strategy Guide. That's all I got.
Did you want to plug your Letterboxd?
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot about that. Yes, I am on Letterboxd. Screen name is Jed. I don't know how to make it different and make it stand out more. But if you search Jed and you find the icon with Grandpa Simpson shaking his fist at a cloud, that's me.
Nice.
He's my spirit animal.
So, what's been going on with you since the last time we recorded? Have you seen anything good recently? Have you listened to any good music?
Oh, I'm been watching a lot of movies lately because we wrapped up watching the show that we've been watching. It's which is a teen coming of age show called Never Have I Ever. I'm addicted to teen coming of age stories, and I don't know why, but for some reason I have a soft spot for them. And Never Have I Ever is just a sweet, funny show, but that ended. It's no more episodes until I don't know, sometime next year. I don't know when. So we've been just watching a bunch of movies. So let's see, watched Ginger Snaps 2 recently. That was all right. The ending pissed me off. This sounds so bad. I really wanted Bridget to die because I figured that Bridget and Ginger dying was set up so well in the first movie, and that they didn't, and it's so unsatisfying.
I don't think it really needed a sequel.
No, I couldn't. Yeah, I could have lived without the sequel. Really, the first movie was good enough.
I don't mind part 2. I think it's fine for what it is, but the original, I think, stands well enough on its own. I don't think it needed a continuation.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like two is fine, but if it had just been a standalone movie, it would have been fine by me because the original caught me by surprise. It was far better because I'm not a werewolf movie guy.
Me neither.
And that movie really caught me by surprise. It's really, really good.
Yeah, it's a classic. I love that one.
You know what movie also caught me by surprise that I saw recently, and I'm probably going to, if I lose horror fan cred on this one, I'm sorry, but I genuinely thought it was not a great movie, not by a long shot, but I thought it was okay. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
I love Blair Witch 2.
Oh my God, there's another one of us. I know that movie gets shit on so much,
I know.
But I mean, I will say it's flawed. Its editing is, it's like it was edited with a slap chop. It's a little hyperkinetic. It's a little it's very, very 90s, but
yeah,
but I love the premise of it, and I love the way that it keeps shifting perspectives, and you can never really trust the perspective that you're seeing things through. Like everybody's treated like an unreliable narrator, and I really like that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And this is coming from someone, I hate the original Blair Witch. I can't fucking stand it. I walked out of the theater after it was over. I saw it when it came out, and I walked out, and I was just like, what the shit was that garbage? What did I just watch? So for 2 to be any good at all was just, it took me by complete shock.
I've been a fan since it first came out. I liked it straight away. I thought it was awesome. And I thought the standout performance was Kim Director. I thought she really did a good job.
Yes.
And I haven't really seen her in anything since.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. I'd have to check her IMDb and see what else she's done, but I mean, she doesn't ring any bells from anything else that I'm aware of. And I'd say the other movie that really deserves mention, and this is really limited audience, like this you have to be in a specific movie to watch this, or specific mood. It's called Atlantics.
I don't know that one.
It's on Netflix. It's a foreign movie. It was a joint production of France and Senegal.
Wow.
It's filmed exclusively in Senegal. So it's an all Senegalese, I believe that's the right words to describe someone from Senegal. I don't know. But the entire cast is locals. Most of them, it was their very first movie. I don't know if it's available in dub. We watched it with subtitles. It is a gothic romance. but it has a lot of supernatural elements to it. But it is so beautifully shot, and the lead actress, whose name escapes me, I'm gonna mangle her name because, let's see, Mame Benetta Sane. I could be completely way off on there. It's her very first movie, and she is breathtaking in this movie. It is so just it. I can't even describe it other than to say that it's. I mean, it's very steeped in the culture of Senegal, and it's got a supernatural romance element to it, about a lost love that gets lost at sea, and he might have come back, but he may have come back in ghost form. And if it sounds like I'm talking about actually the movie Ghost, I'm not. This is completely different. This has got a crime drama element to it, and it's much more gothic and cerebral and haunting. And the cinematography is beautiful. The score is beautiful. But it's like I said, it's very much a unique movie, and you really have to you have to like a really slow burn movie, because this movie is not. There's no quick pace to it at all. It is all about space and exploring that space.
Mm-hmm. So definitely sounds interesting.
Yeah. So those would be some of the movies that I've seen lately.
Awesome. Well, I have a couple. I have a couple documentaries. I saw, and by saw I mean listened to with audio description, the Woodstock 99 Peace, Love, and Rage documentary.
Ooh, I have that on my watch list.
That's rough. It is rough.
Rough because the subject matter is rough, or rough that the documentary is not good?
Rough due to everything that went on, due to the vandalism, due to the sexual assaults, of which there were hundreds, some of which took place on in front of the stage while the band was playing, and nobody did anything. The fires, and the guy who was one of the promoters, or who had put the thing together, came off like a complete cocksucker. He really didn't have any sympathy at all for the women who were assaulted, and he basically said they got what they deserved because they were walking around topless.
Oh,
yeah, it was pretty. And he was trying to downplay it, because he said, there were reports. I remember, because this happened right after I graduated high school, and there were a lot of reports on the news, and MTV News in particular, about everything that happened during that weekend, and all of the assaults. And he was trying to say, oh, there were 10 at most. Well, there were 8 that were actually reported. But what happened since then was there was a woman who I think was an attendee, and she put together this website completely anonymously for people to send anonymous emails who were at the festival and were assaulted and needed to talk about their experiences. And she got dozens and dozens and dozens of emails from all of these women who were brutally attacked by people with this just insane mob mentality, and thought that just because a woman was walking around topless in like 110 degree heat, that it was okay to grope them, that it was okay to do whatever you wanted. And it started out, people started taking notice of it during the crowd surfing, because that's when they started to get groped, the women who were crowd surfing. And they showed a clip of The Offspring right before they were in between songs. And I thought this was pretty funny. The lead singer said, I know there's a lot of women out there who are crowd surfing, and guys, you're getting a little too handsy. So if if a woman comes across, just give her a break. And women, if a guy's crowd surfing, grab him in the balls. So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, it was good, but it was really hard to listen to, especially toward the end. And not only that, but the environment. I mean, there was the porta potties were uninhabitable halfway through the first day, and there was fecal matter everywhere, and people were rolling in it thinking that it was mud. Yeah. And then they had communal showers that were already like ankle deep, so you were showering in other people's filth. It was just disgusting. And the whole time I kept thinking to myself, why don't these people just go home? But they stayed. So I think it dispersed finally, I think 9 a.m. Monday morning. But yeah, I'm just crazy.
It's like what if Fire Festival was managed to come off, but still was as big a disaster.
Yeah, pretty much. I saw another documentary. Memories of a Murderer, the Nielsen tapes, about a Scottish serial killer named Dennis Nielsen in the late 70s, early 80s. And I'd heard about him briefly on a true crime, I think it was like on the ID channel, because I used to be an ID channel aholic. I used to have it on in the background pretty much all day long. And I think that's where I heard about him initially. And what I remembered most was his downfall, which was he disposed of bodies by burning them in his backyard, like in a trash fire, and by flushing dismembered remains down the toilet. And then the pipes got backed up. And when the police came, they immediately smelled death, and they knew immediately that it was this guy. He was doing something. And the cops just said to him, all right, just tell us where the rest of the bodies are. Or no, the cop said initially, where is the body? And he said they're in a closet. And there were two very large sacks. And they said, there's no way that's one person. How many people are in there? Maybe 15. So they didn't talk about this in the documentary, but the one that I saw initially, he had kept body parts scattered throughout the apartment, in cupboards and in end tables, under the coffee table. They were everywhere. And so the documentary is interspliced with reports from the detectives who worked on the case, and audio recordings that he made while he was in prison because he wanted to pen an autobiography. And he was very open and frank about his crimes and the rituals that he had, because he was also a necrophile. Pretty disturbing stuff, but it's interesting if you're into true crime. I actually found. Go ahead. I was just going to say I actually found it less disturbing than the Woodstock documentary.
I can see that. Like, I can see that, and I'm going to guess why is that we have seen so many serial killer documentaries, Ted Bundy, Gacy, Manson, Richard Ramirez, et cetera, you see one serial killer documentary, you've seen, I mean, not to generalize, but once you've heard enough stories of, people who've killed 10, 20, 30 people, it's hard to be shocked by it anymore.
Right.
But a music festival that turns into hundreds of rapes, millions of dollars in property damage, ankle-deep fecal matter in communal showers, that's not how concerts are supposed to go.
No. No. But I am also trying to broaden my horizons as far as music goes, which is why I was asking you earlier about your favorite records. I'm a tough crowd when it comes to music. I have probably a handful of favorite artists, and I have Prime, of course, as I'm sure everybody does, but I haven't been utilizing the Amazon Music app on my phone. And while you don't get as much, say, on Spotify, or if you have a paying membership, you still get a lot of stuff. And so I've been adding some stuff to my library, and I know this is probably going to be a tall order and one that I'm not going to get very far into, but I'm trying to at least get through one album a day, which isn't that much when most are like 45 minutes. But my first one today I listened to twice was Tell Me I'm Pretty by Cage the Elephant. And I came across that one because I was in the car with my father not too long ago, and he listens to a local station called WMMR, and they play Foo Fighters, Nirvana, all hard rock, live, all that kind of stuff, and that's the kind of music that he likes. And they played a song called "Cold, Cold, Cold," which I really liked, and it was definitely very reminiscent of sounds of the '60s. And in this, I'm not a musicologist at all by any means. I just want to say that straight out of the gate. But listening to this record, I could definitely hear influences by other artists. And there's one song that sounds very much like Pixies, Where's My Mind? So it's not like a ripoff, I wouldn't say. It's like showing these are our influences and the reason why we wanted to make music. That's what it came across to me as to me. So that's my first one, and it's pretty good. It's not generally the kind of music that I listen to, but I did like it the first couple times I listened to it, and I do foresee myself listening to it again and checking out some more stuff by Cage the Elephant.
All right, can I recommend an album for you then?
Sure.
Okay. It's one of the ones that we talked about on chat earlier. It's by a band named Local H. They're a alternative band out of the 90s that Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden sound. And what makes them interesting is they're only a two-man band. The singer plays guitar and bass at the same time.
Wow.
His instrument is strung with 4 guitar strings, 2 bass strings, a guitar pickup, and a bass pickup. So he's picking with one hand, but both instruments. So don't expect complex bass lines and complex solos and shit like that. But it's still within that vein. So the album is called 12 Angry Months. It's a concept album.
Oh. Nice.
So the concept, though, is very basic and very universal. There's 12 songs on it. Each song ties to a month. So the first month is January. First song is January. So each one is January, February, March, April, all the way down to December. The concept of the album is that the 12 months that are represented by the songs are the 12 months following the breakup of a long-term relationship. So January is the breakup, and it's about it's about moving out, and it's that last bitter argument as you're screaming, "Get the fuck out of here." It's, "Why are you taking my albums? Those are mine. You didn't even like that band before I got you into them." It's who gets custody of our friends? What about the bars that we went to together? Who gets to go to that? It's those ideas that you don't think of as you're breaking up, but then you realize we still have to share a city together. The next song is reminiscing with your buddy about, man, there's all these people, there's always another fish in the sea, but there's never going to be another one like her. And the next one is the protagonist is at the bar, and you bump into somebody and you find out, or the protagonist finds out, that this is the new boyfriend, and the boyfriend is the complete opposite. He is the clean-cut Republican, tie-wearing, boat-sailing, BMW driving, bro type of guy. And it goes on and on. So each song is another phase of the post breakup of that, within that the year after that breakup. The first time I listened to it at work. It was the first thing that I listened to that morning, because I had a job where I could sit there and I could just listen to music. Mm-hmm. I was sobbing at the end. And I was sobbing, feeling all the pain of every breakup that I'd been in. And at that point, I had been married for 5 years. And I still was all of a sudden feeling all the pain rush back.
Oh.
No joke. I listened to that album another 6 times that day. It was the only thing I listened to all fucking day long. I just kept listening to it over and over. Listening to it, hearing new layers come out of it and understanding more of it. I won't say it's their best album. There's another album of theirs that I prefer because it's got a little more personal resonance, but this one is such a universal topic. Breakup. Mm-hmm. Everyone's been through a breakup. Everyone's been through a nasty breakup of a long relationship, and you will feel every one of these songs, and you will hear it and go, "I've been there, and I've been there, and oh my God, I've been there, and I hate it."
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, it's prepare. It's not a fun album, but it's a cathartic album.
Well, you definitely sold me. I wrote it down while you were telling me, so I'm hoping I'll be able to find it on Amazon Music. If not, I'm sure I'll be able to find it on YouTube. But you definitely sound very passionate about it, so I will definitely check it out.
All right. I look forward to finding out what you think of it.
Absolutely. It sounds really, really interesting. I do enjoy a good concept album. I'm not gonna lie. So I think we should get into the movie. What do you think?
I think that is a good idea. That's what we're here for.
All right. So if you guys want to watch along, I'm sure you'll have absolutely no trouble finding Friday the 13th Part 2. And Yeah, so we're going to begin with a 3 count, and we're going to start on play. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Oh, that old Paramount logo.
Mm.
After I started watching Friday the 13th, 6 was the first one that I saw in theaters. I remember being able, I don't know how or why, but I remember it was shortly before 6 came out and they started actually doing trailers for it. We were in the theater and the Paramount logo came up, and then the trailer started, and it's in the cemetery where Jason's buried. And I remember just going, that's Friday the 13th. No, that's Friday the 13th. And my mom's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, trust me, this is a Friday the 13th movie, and you're going to take me to see it. I still remember that trailer. To me, that is one of the best teaser trailers in movie history. Just because there's no words, there's no acting. It's just that coffin coming up out of the ground.
You know, to me, which I think... Well, I just want to say this real quick first. This opening always reminds me of the opening in It, with Georgie splashing through the puddles with the little boat.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, every time I watch this, that's the first thing I think of. For me, one of the best, I think, teaser trailers ever, and I know a lot of people don't like the movie very much, but it's such a great fucking trailer, is Chainsaw 3.
I don't think I've seen the teaser trailer for that.
Oh, it's so good. There's a voiceover. I don't remember exactly what it says, but it's just Leatherface standing with his back to the camera, looking at a lake, and then slowly the chainsaw blade comes out of the lake. It spins through the air. He catches it, spins toward the camera. You hear the buzzing, and then the title just splats across the screen. So fucking good.
That sounds a lot like the Friday 6 one, in the sense that it's simple. It's just the imagery that you need of, here's a chainsaw, here's Leatherface, boom, done.
Mm.
Did you know that a young boy drowned?
We have quite an extensive what do you call it? Flashback here to the first one. This is like, what is it, the first 10 minutes of the movie?
Give or take, yeah, like 10, 15 minutes. And they spend a good 5 minutes of it playing the end of the previous movie, which, man, if your script is that thin, maybe break out the typewriter and write a couple more pages.
You know, for the longest time, I really had no idea that all of Adrienne King's dialogue when she's on the phone and stuff was improv.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until, God, I don't remember if it was Crystal Lake Memories or if it was a bonus feature on one of the box sets.
It might have been His Name Was Jason. Cause,
it could have been that.
A lot of that stuff was reused for Crystal Lake Memories.
So, I did not see the Friday the 13th in at least the first 5. I did not see in order.
I didn't see any of them in order.
I saw everything after 5 in order. Actually, I should say I saw 5 on in order. The first 4 are the ones that I went scrambled on. I saw final chapter first, and I believe I saw this one second, which completely spoiled the surprise of the first one. So when I watched the first one, and it's that scene where she's sitting on the lake and the beautiful music swelling up and the cops show up and she's just laying in the canoe and everything's fine, I'm dangling my hand in the water, and then Jason comes up and the water and the music changes, I was just sitting there like, get to the point. Get to the point. Yeah, Jason pops up. Come on, get to the goddamn point.
I do love this. What do they call... There's like a name for this sequence. I forget what they call it. It's like Battle on the Beach or some shit like that. I don't know. I remember what... But they said it in the one of the documentaries that it's constantly referred to as. But I always thought it was funny that Betsy didn't know that you're not supposed to really hit somebody when you're making a movie.
Right?
And slapped the shit out of her. Poor Adrienne King.
It got her face bashed into the sand, and
Yeah. Oh.
I hope she got a stun adjustment for it.
I would say not. With these movies, no.
True. I mean, maybe later on ones, but this first one, yeah, it was probably like, here's your $350. You did a good job.
Yeah. And the opening with the okay. Well, I was just gonna say this was probably the beginning. I don't think this was the first, but this is probably the beginning of the slasher movie Cat Scare, which has come up in pretty much every slasher movie throughout the 80s and some throughout the 90s.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Ma'am, we didn't find any boy.
Damn you, Steve Miner!
Then he's still there.
Now, this might be a stupid question, but I always assumed that the head in the refrigerator was Mrs. Voorhees. I've heard other people say no.
Everything that I've seen has said that it is supposed to be Pamela Voorhees. I will freely admit, though, that I did not put that together until, I don't know if it was, his name was Jason. It's one of the many, many documentaries or behind the scenes things that you can find on Fridays. But I didn't put that together until a few years ago, to be honest. I saw it in one of those bonus features or something. I went, oh shit. Oh, okay. I just, for some reason, I always thought it was just random, decapitated head, which never made sense, but...
I always just assumed that he put it there to fuck with her because she was the one who cut it off.
Mom, we've been through all of this before.
Which makes perfect sense now. Yeah.
I just have to put my life back together, and this is the only way I know.
For some reason, it just never clicked with me that that's what it was.
And
Mom, please.
the whole thing with the ice pick not retracting. Ouch.
Yeah. Heard she got a really nasty bruise on her head from it.
Yeah. Well, if that's all she got, that she's lucky. Listening to what she said about her stalker in the documentaries, it was so eerie because it was something straight out of a movie. The way he actually involved himself or insinuated himself into her life and befriended her and got her to tell him things about her stalker until he finally revealed himself. That's fucking nuts.
I've never heard all that detail before.
Oh, you didn't?
No. Where did she talk about it in that much detail?
I believe it's in the extended interviews on His Name Was Jason.
Okay, I've only seen the main documentary of that.
Yeah, he actually became a part of her life. She didn't say how they met, but yeah, they became friends. And I think this went on for a year.
Dude, that's sinister.
Yeah. And yeah, he snapped Polaroids of her and put them in takeout menus and slid them under her door of her going into her apartment, or I think even inside her apartment. I'm sure it's probably not something that she wants to talk about in detail, but I would be interested in a book if, because it's just so fascinating, because it's something that you hear about in movies all the time, but never in real life, not to this extent.
Right.
And this was at a time when none of those movies even existed, really. There really weren't any laws or anything about stalking in the early 1980s.
Right. And even weirder about it may be that who the victim was. I mean, Adrienne King was not a household name. This isn't Meryl Streep. This isn't, someone. This isn't a box office name. This was someone whose biggest movie to date was Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So the fact that she had a stalker is kind of surprising. But then to find out that it's someone who insinuated themselves into her life is just, ugh.
Yeah. And his obsession with her was solely based on the original film, and this all happened between parts 1 and 2. So her agent or manager or whoever, because I believe it was over by the time she shot this, and they weren't so sure it was a good idea for her to participate. I'm not sure exactly why she did.
From what I'd heard, she didn't even know that she was going to be killed off in the opening act.
She didn't know anything until she got there. And I think that's because they were still figuring a lot of things out as they went along with the script.
And that could be. I mean, we are 12 minutes into this movie, and we are, now done with the prologue. There's only an hour 15 left, so that says something about the script.
Yeah. Well, these movies are definitely fond of the previously on Friday the 13th padding in the opening.
Yeah. Especially these first three. Well, or 2 and 3 especially are very, and to an extent 7. 7's got that.
I was
got
just
that
thinking,
long prologue with Walt
it's like a
Gorney.
trailer. It's got that weird voiceover, and it's so weirdly out of place.
And you know who does that voiceover?
No.
Crazy Ralph.
Shut up.
Swear to God, man, Ralph, it's Walt Gorney. Doesn't sound a damn thing like him, does it?
No.
Like, I've gone
did
back
not
and
know that.
like I heard it, and then I discovered that, and then I went back and I watched. I'm like, I can't hear it. I cannot hear that that's Crazy Ralph. It sounds like two completely separate people. So I can't decide whether the Crazy Ralph voice is the put on one, or that Part 7 intro voice is the put on one. Like one of them's got to be his real voice, and one of them's got to be like a voice, like a voice he's doing for the spot. I don't know which is which.
I don't know. You know what I just found out too recently was that Marta Kober lied about her age.
Oh yeah. Yep. And that came back to bite him in the ass, because she was supposed to do nude scenes for this movie.
She did.
Yeah, and they are all locked in a vault somewhere, because
I thought they were destroyed.
They may be destroyed. I don't know. At the very least, they're never getting out.
No.
Hey, there's the gas station.
And it's clear that the movie, even still the way it's edited, still positions her as a sex object.
Yeah.
I mean, it does that to all the girls, but I mean, she's petite, but she's busty, and she's very cute, and they make sure, I mean, here, bounce, 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 bounce. I mean, I don't know that she ever wears a bra in this movie.
She's as far as I know, not doing so well these days.
Hey, so you gonna come down and get us or what?
I know that she's one of the few people that didn't participate with Crystal Lake Memories. She's hard to dig up information on.
Well, I have a story for you. I heard this from a long time ago. This was probably 10 years ago. It was told to me by a friend who was friends with a filmmaker who did very, very low budget movies. If I told you his name, you probably wouldn't know who he was. But he wanted to do something with her as far as either getting an interview or having her as a bit part in one of his movies. I'm not sure. But he had to pick her up and take her to the set because she had no way of getting there. And this was told to me over a decade ago, so I might be getting some things wrong. But in the car, from what I remember hearing, he realized that there was something off about her. And by the way, this is all allegedly. He realized that there was something off about her, and it was apparent to him that she was under some kind of chemical influence. And she said, yeah, so before we go to the set, could you drive me to a friend's house?
Oh.
And she had him drive her to Compton, which was very much out of the way. And he literally waited in the car while she went into a very shady looking house and got what she needed. And first of all, this was 81, and the next thing I saw her in after this was Slumber Party Massacre 3, which she has a very small role as a pizza delivery girl. And she would have been only like 25, and she looks significantly older. And they did manage to get her to participate in, I believe it was a panel for Friday the 13th Part 2. And she was signing autographs and stuff. And this was around the same time that the story was told to me. So this is like 10 years ago. And I saw some pictures of her at said panel, and she's not looking good at all. She definitely looks like someone who hasn't been taking care of herself.
That's a shame.
It is, because she's a very lovely girl here. And it seems like her life went on a steady decline after.
Yeah, I'm looking at her IMDb page, and she's got like 24 credits to her name. Only one in the past 25 years, and that's this year. And before that, one episode of a show, one episode of a show, one episode of a show, second female, pizza girl, second girl, like whatever career plan she had for acting, it never got really past this.
No.
No, it's okay, I got it.
Did you listen to the new commentary that's on the Scream Factory set for this?
I have not yet, no.
It's pretty good. With Amy Steele. It's pretty interesting.
I have to check those out eventually. Like been watching the movies with my oldest, showing them. I haven't gone back to check out. I think the only bonus feature I've checked out is one of the documentaries on the bonus disc, which was about Final Girls, which that was a frustrating documentary.
Also,
did you watch it?
no.
So it's a pre-existing documentary. Really, I think it's called Scream Queens. So it's about women in horror. And they talk to just a whole bunch. I mean, Linnea Quigley, Debbie Rochon, Brink Stevens. And they talk... I mean, there's got to be like 12, 15 Final Girls or Scream Queens that they talk to. And... when they talk about all sorts of subjects, from B movies to higher tier movies to the image of a scream queen, the requirement for nudity, stuff like that, sexism, on and on. The problem is that because this is a pre-existing documentary that was a bonus feature on another movie from 7-8 years ago, they didn't have the rights for the clips that that were originally in the movie. So when they're talking about stuff, they're referencing movies that they've been in and movies that other movies. They're referencing Slumber Party Massacre and Return of the Living Dead and shit like that. But the clips they're playing are all from Friday the 13th.
Oh.
So you hear like Brink Stevens and Michelle Bauer talking about sorority babes in the Slimeball Bolorama, and talking about the nudity that they had to do, that long lingering shower scene at the beginning that just lasts forever and feels very prurient. But instead they're showing nude scenes from this movie and from Friday 4 and from Friday 7. And it's like, no, none of you are those women. None of these clips make sense.
Okay, get your gear started and help me outside, okay?
Was it called Screaming in High Heels?
No. I would have to look it up. It's like Scream Queen something.
All right. What the hell?
Yeah, I'd have to look it up. It's all I remember is the poster on Letterboxd, the box art, so to speak, is like a pair of lips on a black background. And I thought, what? Why? What does that have to do with Scream Queens?
Sounds like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Kind of, yeah. It does kind of look like a little more thinner, and the kiss, the lips imprint is a little less solid, but yeah.
It was probably a stock image.
It definitely does look ripped right off of Shutterstock.
I think I talked about this before, but I always think about where the series would have gone had Amy Steele been in part 3. Because it would have veered in very, very different territory.
Well, did you hear the original pitch for part 3?
Yeah, she was in a hospital.
Yeah, it was basically Halloween 2.
Halloween 2, yeah. I don't know. I was talking about this with Tony, I think, and I don't know if if it was meant to be her in a hospital as a patient, or because she really doesn't elaborate on it. She does talk about studying to be a child psychologist, I believe. So it's possible that it could be her in a hospital as a doctor and being stalked.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that. I don't know that would really fit the Friday the 13th mold, though.
It definitely wouldn't fit the Friday the 13th that we know now. But it would be... It's just interesting to think about.
Have you listened to the old timers in town?
You know?
Still out there.
Yeah.
Because it could have gone in totally different, veered off on a totally different road and just become something very, very different. And it might have not even been anywhere near as successful.
Very true. There's a video. God, what's the YouTuber's name? I want to say it's Kevin Draper.
The girl who survived that night at Camp
I would have to look that up. I should look more of these things up before I actually speak about them. He made a video. It's about a 20-25 minute video on the history of all the unmade Friday the 13th sequels. So the unmade Friday the 13th 3 with Amy Steele was one of them. The unmade sequel to A New Beginning that was actually carrying on as Tommy Jarvis with the killer. The unmade sequel to Part 6 that was supposed to be written by Tom McLaughlin. The unmade sequel to the original attempt at Freddy vs. Jason, which was supposed to be Part 7. The unmade sequels to Part 7. There were 3 of them. One written by John Carl Buechler, one written by Alar Park Lincoln, and one written by what's his name? The male lead in it, Kevin Spiritas, I believe. They all had competing scripts.
Wow.
And it just goes on and on. Like almost every movie in this series had a follow-up that would have picked up that story, and it never happened.
Well, getting back to Tommy Jarvis being the killer, that would have happened had he not been doing the Goonies. Corey Feldman, that is. So that would have been another thing that would have taken the series down a totally different road.
Right.
I don't want to hear any more about it. It's ancient history. Jason
And instead we got A New Beginning.
I stand by A New Beginning. I like it.
It's... If I was doing a tier list, it wouldn't be in the F. But I would have a hard time not putting it in D.
Oh boy.
It's a mess of a movie. We'll talk about it more when we eventually do Friday the 13th Part 5 at some date in the future, but I see good ideas in there, but the script and the direction just are problematic.
Hi, Terry.
Yeah.
Dance? Hi there. How about you? Do you want to dance?
Generic 80s guy in his puffed up collar.
So there I was.
I think we may have missed it. I don't recall precisely when it happens, but the scene with Ginny and Paul, where she says, "I have something to tell you, but we'll talk about it later." That is one unanswered question I have never found an answer for. Like I've whether it's the bonus features on DVDs or documentaries or interviews with script writers or directors or whatever, I've seen a lot of those plot holes and unanswered questions be resolved, if not necessarily canonized, but somewhere. But I've never heard anyone explain that before.
I never thought about that before.
And what she was trying to say. Like, I know what the assumption is. The assumption is she's pregnant, but...
Oh.
But I've never heard anyone actually lock that in. Like, because they bring it up and then they never bring it up again. And what was the plot relevance of it?
You know which one I always hear about this movie that I just think, who fucking cares? Toward the end when you see the pee on the ground, is it Ginny's pee or is it the rat's pee? Who fucking cares? It's so not important at all.
Right.
But there's been a constant debate.
I mean, I always assumed it was Ginny's, that she just was frightened and her bladder let loose, but I've heard the debate in in the ensuing years, I couldn't care less who it is.
No.
It doesn't. It has no bearing.
It has no relevance. No. But well, I think the consensus is that because of the volume, it was her. But have you ever heard Warrington Gillette talk about the things that Steve Dash had said?
I've heard a few interviews with Warrington Gillette. If I heard him talk about what Steve Dash has said, I can't recall it off the top of my head. I just know that Warrington Gillette's a bit,
I thought you were going to say a bitch.
No, not all that far off though. How about he's a bit salty?
Wake the natives. I'm not supposed to be fraternizing with the staff.
But I don't know what he said specifically about. Specifically about Steve Dash.
Well, he was taking credit for Steve Dash's work for all those years until Steve Dash did the Crystal Lake Memories book and then later the documentary.
I really was worried.
But the only stunt that Warrington Gillette did was the crash through the window. Everything else is Steve Dash. And that is because Warrington Gillette lied about his abilities as a stunt person, and B, he did nothing but gripe and moan and complain about the sack irritating his skin, and he couldn't do this and that, and this was too hard, and so that's why they brought Steve in. But when I've seen of Warrington Gillette in interviews, he does talk about the window crash, but he also does talk about the movie as if he is the one playing Jason throughout. And
he does. I've noticed that he does misrepresent himself as, like, at the very least, as if it's half and half. He's like, no, it's not, dude. We know that you were only in a fraction of it.
Well, we were talking about the we both had the From Crystal Lake to Manhattan DVD set way back when, and that was the first time I ever saw him being interviewed, and that interview, I think, is really where he spoke at length about playing Jason. But as far as anybody ever calling him on it, I've always wondered that, because I've never heard any stories, because he does make the convention circuit a lot, and I'm sure fans, because fans don't give a shit. I'm sure fans have asked him or accused him of misrepresenting himself, and I've just always been curious about what he'd said or how he reacted to it.
Funny enough, I know that's happened with Part 5. That the guy who plays Roy, I think his name is Tom Morga, or Tom Morga might be the guy who plays quote unquote Jason, the blue masked one. The guy who plays Roy has signed pictures of the fake Jason at conventions, calling himself Jason, and the guy who actually played the fake Jason, the stuntman for it, has called him out, going, the only time that you ever wore any part of the Jason outfit was the death scene. Other than that, all you did was be a paramedic. I was Jason. And those two really don't like each other because of that.
Yeah, that's not a good look. I will say, I always thought Kristen Baker was a strikingly beautiful girl.
Yeah. Very beautiful.
Those eyes. Very nice eyes. I think she's Portuguese or something.
Is she?
I
don't know
think
that.
so.
Oh, come on. It's only a short walk. They'll never know we're gone. Jeff, I'm serious. I really want to...
But Amy Steele does talk about her in the documentary, and in the commentary about she was always jogging and doing like calisthenics, and she was very athletic, and she took care of herself physically, and that's why she was so free with her body in the movie, because she was proud of it. And Amy was like, I can't say I blame her. I wish I looked like that.
She very much does have that thin, lanky, athletic build to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she looks like a runner, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't know, though. Between the two, I mean, if I had a preference between the two, I would actually prefer Amy Steele, just because she is... I find her to be cuter. Like, Kristen Baker's very elegant and very beautiful.
Amy Steele has that girl next door thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kristen Baker's like a model. Or it wouldn't surprise me if she was before the movie.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either.
And I have to say, I don't know if it is my favorite kill in the series, but I definitely always thought it was one of the most fucked up, and that is the wheelchair.
Oh yeah, that wheelchair one is brutal. All right, so I mean, even though we're not anywhere near the wheelchair kill, but the machete that's used in the wheelchair kill and in the throat slitting of I can't remember the guy's name, the guy who gets flipped upside down on the rope trap.
Yeah, he was spying on Kristen.
Yeah. So a lot of fans have bitched for years that the machete is backwards in both of those scenes, when the throat cut is done and when the impact into Mark's face. It's not backwards. You know why? It's a sugarcane machete. There are different kinds of machetes, and one, which is called a sugarcane machete, has the blade on the flat back end as opposed to the curved side.
I didn't know that.
Now, why a rural area in New Jersey has a sugarcane machete? I don't know. I don't know how the hell Jason got a machete that's used for cutting a crop that's normally grown in tropical areas, but that explains why, even though it's backwards, it's cutting, is because that's the kind of machete it is.
I was going to say we'd probably have to blame Savini for that one, but he didn't even do the effects for this one.
Nope.
The burning he did instead, right?
Yes.
I think that's right.
Which is... So, it's like so similar to this movie, it almost hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what if Jason, but in the movie Meatballs?
I like the burning. It's a little slow, but ooh, that canoe scene is definitely worth the price of admission. Jesus Christ.
I think the movie hinges on that scene, though. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
you take out that scene, and that is the definition of a generic slasher.
Well, it wasn't in the movie for the longest time.
Was it like filmed on pickups or something?
No, it had to be cut out, or it was trimmed. A lot of it was trimmed. I can't pinpoint exactly, but there were many shots that had to be removed to get an R. And the one that comes to mind is the shot of the guy getting his fingers cut off. That's one, but in the original VHS that was put out by, I believe, Thorn EMI, yeah, it was censored. And for a long time, the only way I think you could see it was in a Japanese print or something. And then Amazon didn't do very many of these, but they would have like their own I don't even know if they were made on demand, but they would put out movies that just had a very basic yellow slip sleeve with some kind of design on it, and the title of the movie going up the left side, and that was the uncut version. I don't know if they knew that they were putting out the uncut version, but then after that it started showing on cable uncut in the early aughts. So I think that's how I originally saw it. Yeah, because I remember a friend of mine at the time who was like into all the extreme gory slasher movies and stuff. He had gotten an import off of eBay, and he told me all about what was cut. And I think there's other stuff in the movie that was cut out too, but it's like with certain movies that existed for such a long time in a censored version, but now it's been like 20 years and the uncensored version has been so readily available and people associate the movie with that version that you kind of forget that it was ever cut.
Right.
It's like almost kind of like the Annie's throat slitting in the beginning of part one. It's like it's hard to imagine the movie without that scene or without the decapitation in its complete form.
Right.
But that's another thing we didn't get to see, but was available overseas for a long time, along with the Kevin Bacon, obviously, death.
And on the subject of deleted scenes, I know that was one of the hooks for this movie for the Scream Factory was we finally got deleted scenes for part 2.
Yeah.
They were so underwhelming. Like, I cannot even remember what I watched them. That was one of the very first things that I watched was because that was one of the big selling points. And I watched it and went, oh, so that was a thing that happened. Like, I can't even tell you what they were. They were that dull.
Are they like really rough quality?
No, I wouldn't. They're not rough quality. I mean, it's not like Part 7's deleted scenes, which were like taken off a 3rd generation VHS.
Yeah, they were like work print.
I mean, they're fine. It's not that they're bad of quality or anything. It's just that they don't add much more. They really don't enrich anything. Like it's a couple extra angles on the double impalement, still keeping within the legalities of Marta Kober, but still, a couple different angles of that, and a couple of extra shots from this kill or that kill, but it doesn't really it's not really anything that adds any value to the, if they were inserted into the movie, I don't know that anyone would go, oh yeah, that made that part a whole lot better. Like if Part 7's deleted scenes were added, we'd all cheer. These were just, it's fine.
Yeah, Beekler got fucked sideways on that movie.
He did. I still love that movie. That's still...
Me too.
I know that a lot of fans shit on it. It is in my top 3 for Fridays.
Same here.
Despite the fact that the gore is cut 6 ways from Sunday. But I still think that it is an effective movie.
Mm-hmm. I think the story is compelling in itself, and what's her name? Laura Park Lincoln's character.
Tina.
Tina, thank you. Yeah. And Bernie Lomax is such a fucking scumbag.
He does such a good job as such a shitty asshole.
Using Tina's mother as a human shield is the lowest of the low.
It might make him a bigger villain than Jason, really.
Probably, yes. That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, because at least Jason isn't cowardly. Sacrificing someone else, running like a bitch.
And the whole time he was just exploiting her, Tina.
For no real discernible purpose. Like, we know that he wanted to use... They never really go into what he wanted to do with her psychic powers. It's just like, he's exploiting her. Trust us.
No, I think he probably wanted to write a book. And have the video footage to back up his claims. So he was probably going to write like a Sybil type book.
I never thought of that.
That's what I always assumed.
I never thought of that. That makes sense.
They're Ted's. It's okay with him.
It's football and hockey.
I have to say, even as a kid, I thought these two were cute. Like, their pairing is just adorable. And I wonder if that's because behind the scenes she really had a crush on him.
Yeah. What she said he made it very clear at the beginning that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
He was very cute.
Yeah, he was a very handsome man.
It's a shame. R.I.P.
He died. Did he die in the 80s?
Yeah, not long after this. Maybe like 4 or 5 years, I think.
Wow. HIV?
Yeah, AIDS, yeah.
Yeah.
Out of AIDS. Yeah, he was a model before this.
That doesn't surprise me. He's got a male model's looks.
Yeah.
Get it?
Give me my shirt, Scott.
Scott, there's a scumbag.
Whereas this guy just looks like a douchebag.
Yeah. I mean, like, his whole thing is, elementary school, I'm gonna pull your pigtails thing. That's basically his whole character.
Yep.
Well, hurry, okay?
He'd fit in well with the remake cast.
Yeah, that's true.
Try to let you hang, you pervert.
Come on, Tara. Give me a break.
Because they are all
Cut the crap?
Sure.
Oh god, I hate the remake so much. It's
Okay.
I'm glad. Like, I'm sad that I didn't get a chance to do Friday 1 with you.
Very funny.
I don't regret missing Friday 09. if I never see that movie again, like I said earlier, I'm showing my boys all of them, and we're through New Blood. So we have Manhattan and then the New Line era, which is problematic.
Are you going to show them the R-rated version of Jason Goes to Hell?
Oh, hell no. Unrated
Okay.
only. Unrated only, man. I mean, if for no other reason than the tent post kill in all its gory glory.
Yeah.
As
That
far
is
as
one of the best kills in the entire series.
Yeah,
for
as far
sure.
as I'm concerned, I mean, the cryo kill in Jason X is cool. The tent post one is better. I just love the gore. Like, she gets stabbed, the blood shoots out of her mouth, and she's gurgling, and then gets split in half, and that's just a special effects. It's just amazing.
And it's all practical.
Yep.
Did you miss those days?
I do so much. Every time, like, I don't mind CGI used to fill in impossible gaps.
Mm-hmm.
When it's something that can't be done by hand, when there is no practical way to make it work, fine. But I will take Kevin Bacon's gray-colored latex neck over CGI color correction and all that any day of the week, because at least I can see it as a physical item, and it's touchable and it's tangible, and it feels, it makes, even though it looks fake, it feels real.
Well, I'm more for the use of CGI if it's used as a form of spit polish, like if there's wires or like a boom mic is in the shot or something like that. If you're gonna create like a whole monster out of CGI, no, I don't like that.
Yeah, no, I much prefer do as much as you possibly can with practical effects. I mean, you look at a movie like Alien. Yeah, does that thing move naturally? No. I mean, you could tell that it's mostly either a guy in a suit or a puppet, but that makes it feel more real.
It was still fucking scary.
Yeah. And that jerky movement when it is a puppet makes it feel more alien and mysterious and creepy. And if it's CGI, I can tell what it is then. I can tell that it's just, I'm watching a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
And let's try to think beyond the legend, put it in real terms. I mean, what would it be like today? Some kind of out of control psychopath?
I know this is,
Frightened
not the greatest example, but in the Psycho remake, what I thought was really stupid, a really stupid use of CGI was they CGI'd blood on the tiles after Marion gets stabbed, and as she's sliding down the wall, it looks so cartoony.
No.
That may be the most criminal use of CGI to me is CGIing blood.
I know.
It never looks right.
Mm-mm.
He must have seen his mother get killed, and all just because she loved him.
I was just watching a featurette on Freddy vs. Jason. I think it was, I don't remember what it was. It was on YouTube somewhere. And they were talking about how the blood drips, like when Laurie is in the police station and she falls asleep, and then she, Freddy, and then she wakes up in the dream, and she's walking down that hallway, and there's blood dripping, and it's hitting the ground and then disappearing. And they originally tried to do that with practical effects, and the blood wasn't dropping right in the right patterns, and so they just went, fuck it, and let's do CGI. And all I could think was, what do you mean it wasn't falling in the right patterns? It's blood. It's a liquid. You drip it, it hits the ground, it splatters. What do you want it to make a shape of a triangle? What do you need from it?
And the little girl with her eyes cut out. It looks so shitty.
It does. I can enjoy that movie as a popcorn movie, and just the culmination of my 10-year-old, the 10-year-old within me and the dreams of what if Freddy and Jason really happened. I can enjoy it for that, as long as I don't pay attention to the annoying characters and the stupid dialogue.
Oh, God.
If I just enjoy it as a big video game,
yeah,
I can deal with it.
You're gonna lose.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah.
Mark,
Um,
what happened? Did you have to be in a chair?
and I talk about this. I talked about this before with James, because, you know, he's my Chucky guy, and we were both trying to
Is everything else okay?
analyze Bride of Chucky and Freddy versus Jason, and how was it possible that Bride of Chucky turned out so well and so much fun, but Freddy versus Jason not so much. And I think we both came to the conclusion that it was because Don Mancini was the producer on Bride of Chucky, and he probably had a lot more input. And I think that Freddy versus Jason was Ronnie Yu's baby. And the fact that he was hired specifically because he wasn't a fan of either franchise was probably a big mistake.
No argument there. None at all. I would even add further that the movie may be largely Ronnie Yu's baby. I doubt you'd get Ronnie Yu to admit that, because he doesn't like to admit to any fault. He doesn't like to admit to doing anything other than making the movie that he wanted. Look at the whole Kane Hodder versus Ken Kersinger thing. Everyone else says, "Oh yeah, that was Ronnie's decision. He wanted a Jason with more expressive eyes," and Ronnie Yu's like, "No, it was somebody at New Line."
I think he threw Bob Shea under the bus for that one.
Oh yeah, I think he did. Yeah, he does not want any part of it because he knows the backlash that got.
Damn it.
Well,
and I will say, do I like Kane Hodder as Jason?
Turkey.
Yes. Is he my favorite? No. But he'd played him for 4 movies. He was the guy who had become synonymous with Jason. Kane Hodder versus Robert Englund was the battle we were all wanting.
Yeah. I like CJ a lot.
He'd probably be number 3 for me. I'm a Ted White guy.
Final chapter.
Yep. I love his mobility. I love his anger. I just love the Jason that he brings to that movie. I think he's the most varied of the Jasons.
Who's your least favorite?
The Friday 2, the one we're watching right now, Steve Dash.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I can't fucking stand him. And it's not even Steve Dash's fault per se. This movie frames Jason as a bumbling goofball.
That's true.
He's clumsy. He's kind of an oaf. He's falling off chairs, and he's running goofy and getting, knocked down by simple things like getting kicked in the balls. And Jason to me is like, he's not scary at all.
Well, Jason as a character wasn't defined anywhere close yet. I think he's fine, and you know, a lot of his weird running, you know, had to do with he couldn't see where he was going. But I don't know. I never liked the way part 3, what's his name?
Richard Brooker.
Brooke. I knew that. I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to say it.
It's okay, I got your back.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, I never liked the way he moved. And,
I'm with you. I'm not a fan of Brooker either.
And that, especially toward the end, when Dana Kimmel's character sees him and he's in the window, and he does that weird thing where it's not an up-down window, and he runs his hands up it like he's trying to open it. And the way he comes barreling out the door at her. And then especially when he first gets the mask, I don't like the way he just kind of ambles off.
Yes, it reminds me of someone like, it reminds me of a teenager who has, like a young teenager, 13, 14, that has had a big growth spurt, but they're not old enough yet. They haven't, you know, they've gone from like, say, like 5 foot to 5'8" in 6 months. So they're not comfortable in their own body. So they're kind of awkward. They're awkward and lanky, and you know, they move with no natural grace whatsoever.
For sure.
It's like looking at frames, like film with frames missing.
Yeah.
That's what Brooker reminds me of. Of this uncoordinated, awkward teenager with a body that's too big for their age.
Mm-hmm.
And especially that scene on the dock, like when he kind of tosses the harpoon gun aside and then does the Randall from Clerks amble away.
Yeah. Yeah. That was exactly what I was referencing, yeah.
Like, dude, you're not cool. You just harpooned a girl in the head. This isn't the time to be like, yeah. You're not Superfly walking down New York City streets.
Yeah, it's like you should have heard like fucking Staying Alive playing in the background.
Now I want to see that remix. I would pay to see that YouTube video. If I had any video editing skills whatsoever, I'd do it myself. So, about the kill that just happened, one of my pet peeves. Like every fan base has, you know, some factoid that they love to regurgitate over and over and over again, and it just gets to the point of you want to strangle everyone who does it. Every fucking time I hear about Friday 2 and the double impalement scene, did you know that kill came from Twitch of the Death Nerve? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I actually haven't heard that one in a while. That was Bava, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That one I haven't seen, to be honest.
I haven't seen it either, but just I've heard that factoid enough.
Yeah.
Every time I hear it, like I don't care where it came from. There's only so many ways to kill a human being.
Yeah. I think it would have bothered me if I was a hardcore Italian horror or giallo horror fan. I like some of them. I wouldn't say that I'm anywhere near as well versed as I am with slasher movies. So, you know, it is what it is. Who was it? The director or writer, one of them, said in an interview that he hadn't seen it. And I believe him because
Jeff?
those kinds of movies weren't as easily accessible at the time that this was made as they are now.
Right. Like, I remember, at the age of 8, when I saw my first Friday the 13th movie, I remember going up and down the aisles of horror, the horror movie section, and you saw the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Streets and the Halloweens and, then the other holiday-themed slashers like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Mother's Day, and April Fool's Day. You didn't see Twitch of the Death Nerve or Suspiria or stuff like that in your local video rental place.
No, absolutely not. And my video store had the cut version of Phenomena, the Creepers version. And I think that was the only Argento that they had. Because of Thriller Video, a lot of the cannibal movies, like Cannibal Ferox and stuff, you could find. But as far as the other Italian stuff, I think Zombie was probably the most common.
Yeah, I do remember seeing the cover for Zombie. And you know what other not obscure, but okay, obscure at the time, I should say. The other obscure horror movie that you would see if you went to the right store, Faces of Death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My video store had, I think,
I'll check upstairs.
1 through 3. And it had a cover that I've never seen elsewhere. I've never seen I've never seen any of those Faces of Death, Traces of Death. I have no desire. But I did used to look at the box, and it was like a montage of different things in the movie. I remember most prominently there was an image of a doctor wearing a surgical mask. And I've never seen that anywhere else. It's always a red cover. All the covers are similar. And that same friend who told me about The Burning was, of course, into the Faces of Death movies. And when I told him about the cover, I don't know how it came up. I have no idea. And he didn't know what the hell I was talking about. He's like, what doctor? There's no doctor on the cover. I don't like that delivery. There's somebody in this fucking room.
Yeah, that line has always bothered me.
Yeah.
Just for the fact of, if I see the killer and I see my boyfriend and they're only about like 8 feet apart and the killer's got a spear, I'm not wasting my time on a 19-syllable sentence. I'm going, Paul, look out.
Exactly. And that was an improv on Amy Steele.
Really?
That wasn't in the script, yeah.
Huh.
I'm trying to think, was she in any other, besides April Fool's Day, any other horror movies?
Oh, there was something, oh man, see, now you're gonna make me look her up, because I could see it. There was something she was in.
Oh, she was in the TV remake of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
With the Lynn and Vanessa Redgrave. That's on, I believe it's on Tubi.
I know there was something that she was in where she co-starred with Eric Anderson, who played Sandra's brother in Final Chapter. which I always found really a really amusing coincidence. But I don't remember what it was.
It was a horror movie?
I just remember the two of them being in the movie. I don't remember what the movie was off the top of my head. Yeah, her IMDb really doesn't... I'm not seeing any other horror movies, just those two. She was in something called Women of San Quentin, which immediately I went, she was in a women in prison movie, and then it's a TV movie. Like, who the fuck does a woman in prison movie for TV in the 80s?
That's weird.
Also, I didn't know San Quentin held women. I thought it was a men's prison.
He got me. He just got me thinking of the Golden Girls when Dorothy got arrested. Well, they all got arrested for, I think, prostitution. And Dorothy was trying to be a badass, and she said that she did time in Attica. And one of the prisoners said Attica's a men's prison, and she says, "I know. I was there a year before they found out."
Okay. Jason's just taking his time here. He's like, yeah, I'll let her run out for a minute.
You know what else I didn't know about this? That Wes Craven directed Betsy Palmer's scene.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that either.
No.
Yeah, I don't remember what Steve was doing. But yeah, he called Wesson for a favor, and I think he just did it in a, it couldn't have been longer than a day. But yeah, he directed that. And I always thought you looked very different.
Yeah, but I could never play... I know what you mean. I could never place how, though. I don't know if it's the hair. Or maybe the way that it's filtered, like, because
maybe that, yeah.
Because it's it's sort of translucent, but not quite. There's something about the image quality that I don't know. It's a little surreal.
Mm-hmm. I never noticed the toilet in his little hideaway.
Oh yeah, the unflushable shit-filled toilet.
Oh god.
Yeah.
See, Jason could have survived Woodstock 99.
I always wondered, like, did he build that lean-to? I mean, it never really implies one way or the other, but I suppose it's possible. It's a lot more credible than trying to explain away the tunnels in the remake.
I know. Oh god.
Oh, I've had so many arguments about that one because people are like, "What? They're tunnels. Tunnels happen. They're mining tunnels." I'm like, mining tunnels? Are you fucking kidding me?
Shut the
so
fuck up.
Either
Stupid.
one, Jason has a college degree in mining and structural engineering, or two, a mining company had the brilliant idea to dig large underground tunnels next to a fucking lake.
I think the whole point of that was just for the scene where he's breaking through the floor.
Yeah.
We gotta have that.
Well, that, and I remember hearing in the build-up to the movie, I don't remember if it was the script writers or the director, someone associated with it said that they wanted to explain how Jason could get from one place to the other without being seen.
Why?
I don't know.
Who gives a fuck? I always just assumed that he was able to get from place to place to place was because he knew those woods.
That's what I thought too.
Of course, when you have somebody who's never been in these woods before and doesn't know their way and is running in circles, yeah, he's going to get you.
Yeah. It's one of those things that especially is guilty in prequels of let's be clever and let's come up with an answer to a question that nobody is asking.
Mm-hmm.
See how Han Solo got the last name Solo.
Oh,
fuck me, I hate that so much. I wonder what Paul's doing right now. Like, is he still unconscious?
No.
Is he looking around? Trying phones? I mean, where is it? Because we know he comes back, but like, what are you doing right now, man?
I don't know. I've seen this one a good bit, but I know I've seen part 3 a lot more, because I still watch that one all the time. So I know this whole sequence very well, because it's like the first 10 minutes of part 3. But I like how they blended it in, where he pulls the machete out, and then you see him slump away.
Mm-hmm. I always liked that too. I thought that was a nice little way to transition.
Yeah.
Blend the two movies.
Mm-hmm.
Jason! It's all done, Jason.
She said that was the actual sweater from part 1. And I think she says it in the commentary for the new one. Yeah, it was the same sweater, and it was not kept in a very nice place for storage. So it was kind of rank. And she said when she's all skeeved out when she's putting it on, that's not acting. She really didn't want to put it on.
God bless her, being a trooper, putting on the gross sweater.
Probably got mold and bed bugs and moths. I wouldn't want to take a black light to that sweater, if you know what I'm saying.
Ew. I don't think we need a black light. We can see the discoloration already.
Yeah. God knows what the fuck Jason was doing with that sweater.
Ugh.
Because he had, that mother fixation. So.
True.
Edible complex. This is a big spoiler for people who haven't seen, or I don't know if I should say this about the to you. about the Slumber Party Massacre remake.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, if you haven't seen it and you don't want it ruined, skip over this part. But toward the end of the movie, well, they have the same killer from the first one, or the original, rather, the same name and everything, but they gave him a mother who is very much like Pamela Voorhees, who just wanted to protect her son, and so she killed all these girls so he wouldn't be tempted by them.
What?
I couldn't believe it when I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And the movie got all the great reviews, and I was like, what? Why? It wasn't, Halloween Kills, don't get me wrong. There were some somewhat enjoyable moments, but some of the stuff was just dumb. And a lot of it, when it was trying to be funny, it was like slapsticky and stupid. But yeah, he had a crazy mother, like Mrs. Voorhees. And the character's name was Russ. It's like, my Russell. I had to protect my Russell.
Maybe they figured, it's been 40 years. We can recycle the gimmick.
Well, that since Friday the 13th, that's been done in other movies too. Where
oh yeah,
the mother is the killer to protect the son. So it was not at all a unique concept. And they had to do the I have no bars, which is the only way you can really make a slasher movie these days if you have no creativity.
Yeah, it drives me nuts now too. Like, you could pull that off in 2002 when cell phone coverage wasn't widespread. Like, no.
Yeah,
hell, mid 2000s, I worked in downtown Detroit, and T-Mobile, I couldn't get coverage on the 16th floor of my building. Now, is there a spot in the U.S. that doesn't get coverage aside from like the wilderness of North Dakota and Montana? And even then,
I remember hearing a few years ago there was a certain area, I don't remember where it was, but there were all these fake palm trees being planted in a certain area, and there was all these conspiracy theories about it's what do you call it, the government watching, spying on us. Yeah, they were cell phone towers.
oh, some people. Yeah, that broken shovel handle's going to do a lot, Paul.
I'm sure you've seen the poster with that still of her holding the pitchfork. What do you think of that one versus the more traditional artwork with the silhouette with the axe, with the bloody axe?
I prefer the silhouette.
Me too.
I mean, that shot of her holding the pitchfork is cool. It makes for a great back of the box picture, but for me, Friday the 13th 2's box art and poster, it will always be that sort of glowing chalk body outline holding the axe.
Yeah.
Like, even the first three of them even thematically tie together. Like, the first one, it's holding a knife. The second one's holding an axe. The third one, it's the machete coming through the shower curtain.
First thing I did when I got the Scream Factory set was I flipped all the slip sleeves.
I flipped most of them. The only ones that I didn't flip really were the New Line ones. I kept the New Line ones. Like, I wanted the Paramount ones to have the Friday font.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of them, I wanted them to have the font, the non-Friday font, whatever was familiar with, with those movies. So I kept those, whatever way displayed those fonts on the spine.
Whenever I get a Blu-ray that has a reversible sleeve with new artwork on one side and the old artwork on the back, I always flip it.
Oh yeah, I'd rather the old art. Like,
the old artwork is so much better.
Yeah, I mean, those old box arts from the 80s, the old posters. That was half the draw of, as a kid, of seeing the horror movies, was seeing all that amazing box art. Like, the Nightmares had amazing box art. The Fridays had really striking box art, even though it was very simple. One of my favorites was a movie called Black Roses, where not only was it's this complex art with all these roses and a guitar, and it's because it's about a demonic rock band, but it was all embossed, so it was very textured and you could feel it if you ran your hand over it.
Does that have a different title?
I don't think so. Now you gotta make me look it up.
There was a lot of those heavy metal horror movies in the mid 80s.
Well, I mean, the two went together really well, because horror movies and heavy metal played to the same audience. So
you got Trick or Treat, you got Rock and Roll Nightmare, you got Rocktober Blood,
and Black Roses
Rock.
Black Roses was made largely by a lot of the same people who did Rock and Roll Nightmare.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, Black Roses is not a great. I mean, it's better than Rock and Roll Nightmare. Rock and Roll Nightmare's astoundingly cheesy. Black Roses is also cheesy, but it's slightly more professional. Slightly.
I heard, getting back to the Friday artwork, I was listening to a podcast, and I believe it was one of the hosts was talking about it was H&M, because H&M has t-shirts and stuff with licensed artwork for horror movies now. Apparently they're going the Target route.
Interesting.
But they had the artwork for part 4 on, I believe it was a long-sleeved yellow sweatshirt, but they photoshopped out the knife in the eye hole.
What?
I know.
There's so many things wrong with that.
I know.
And shit, even the old NES game got the knife in the eye hole.
Did it?
Yeah, like in the intro, not on the cover, but I mean, when you start the game, it's got the mask laying on the ground, and the first thing that happens is that knife flies through the air and stabs right into the eye hole, and then the screen flickers, and then it shows the title screen.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I was, shameful admission, I loved that game. I know that it's a terrible game. Functionally speaking, it is a wretched, horrible, cash-in bad game. But maybe it was just because I loved Friday the 13th, but so I wasn't an apologist for it. But I enjoyed it.
I rented it probably a couple times back when you actually used to be able to rent Nintendo games. I wasn't impressed.
I know it's not a good game. I think I just enjoyed it because of the name value.
A lot of people hated the Elm Street NES game, and I genuinely really liked it. I thought it was fun.
You know, I never got a chance to play it. I always wanted it, and I begged for it for every birthday and Christmas between the time it came out and the time I stopped playing Nintendo and moved on to Genesis. Never got it.
I'm sure you could download it.
I think I have a ROM of it somewhere, or I should say, I allegedly have a ROM of it somewhere.
Right, of course.
Please don't sue me, LJN.
Absolutely. Yeah, but it's fun because you get to be you get to be different characters from the movies, and I know that there's more than two, but the ones that stick out are Kristen from part 3. So she's like doing backflips and shit, or when she jumps she spins around. And Will, when he's in the dream and he has his cape and he's
God,
but he flies, so he was cool. But the whole point of the game is you're going through Freddy's house, which is ginormous, and you have to collect all of Freddy's bones, and then you have to fight him at the end in the boiler room. So I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The Elm Street house, at the time of this recording, is up for sale.
Yeah, something like, what did I see? 2.5 million, 3.5
I think it's three.
Yeah, it's an insane amount of money. Like, where's it located?
I believe Venice.
Okay, so California inflated real estate prices. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to live there anyway because they get fans all the time coming to that house.
Oh, I'm sure. Like I remember hearing shortly after Breaking Bad came to an end that the owners of that house where it took place, they had to erect like a 8-foot cyclone fence because people were coming over and reenacting the scene where Walt throws the pizza up on the roof.
Oh God!
And they had to keep coming out and be like, guys, please stop. People live here. We got to go off and get pizza off the damn roof. And people kept doing it, so they had to. And it's the only house in the neighborhood that's got fencing like a prison.
Mm. The same thing with the Amityville house. They had to reconstruct it because the attic windows that look like eyes, that was the dead giveaway.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So they had to change it.
Yeah,
because they had so much foot traffic. But that's bound to happen when you film a landmark film in a house that's still up. Right.
That's you're taking a risk with that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if the Halloween houses are still there, the ones that are across the street.
I'm pretty sure the original one is still there, like the Strode house.
Did you see that? I believe it's in the 25 Years of Horror documentary, where there was this rabid, hardcore, fanatical fan of Halloween who just happened to be a carpenter, and he made his own Myers house, like right down to the smallest detail inside too. And like he used shots that you see in the movie to like decorate the dining room with the dining room table with the candles and the artwork on the wall and the kind of couch, and he replicated the banister and the old-timey porch. Like, it was right down to the smallest detail. It was crazy.
I hadn't heard that, but I'm not surprised at all, because I've heard of another case of a fan doing something only with one room, but I saw someone do that same thing to their living room to make it a replica of the living room of The Simpsons. I mean, exact coloration, exact dimensions, exact detail, everything. And all I could think of was, but you got to live there.
Yeah.
Like, you got to live there, and that room looks nothing like anything else in the house. So you have this room that looks like a Crayola box exploded, and then you've got a beige kitchen and an average dining room and a normal stairwell, but then there's this. Why?
Do you remember when they had that big contest for the Simpsons house? They built an actual replica of the house.
Yeah. I did not understand the appeal of that.
Well, initially it was so that you could live in the Simpsons house, which, I mean, in itself sounds a lot of fun. But then, I would think that it would kind of wear off after a while. But it's still there. I think it's in Las Vegas, but now it's just a tourist attraction. Nobody actually lives in it. But you can go through it and have a tour and take pictures and stuff.
Yeah, I could not imagine living in that. Again, I think it's just the adult in me would look around and go, but what if I want to repaint?
I know.
Then what? I mean, not just repaint, like, if you want to do anything to the house, same thing with the Halloween house or the Elm Street house. You want to do anything to it, you're going to have to take on... It's not just as simple as repainting the walls. You're going to have to do major things to make the house no longer look like that house.
Well, I mean, even if you changed one thing, you would fuck everything up, because you can't just change one small detail, like replace the painting of the boat, for example, in the living room.
Yeah.
You'd have to not literally, but you'd have to burn everything down and start it from scratch. Yeah. And paint does fade too. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but being that I am, and have been for much of my life, a very, very huge fan of Seinfeld. It's my favorite sitcom ever. I read in they had a book come out called Seinfeldia, where I don't remember who put it together, but it was a temporary thing that was built in some tourist area in Los Angeles, and they rebuilt the apartment, and they made it as for a fee. I don't even think it was that much, but for a fee, you got 5 minutes, and you could go in and you could take as many pictures as you want, like selfies in Jerry's apartment, which I thought was pretty fucking awesome, because I would have been all over that shit.
I mean, for a tourist destination, it's a smart idea.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have any final thoughts on Friday the 13th Part 2?
I think it's definitely an improvement over the first one. Still can't stand that Jason. Never will be able to we'll appreciate him.
Poor Steve Dash, R.I.P.
And no insult to Steve Dash. You can only do what you can do with the script and the director you got. But I mean, Yeah, this is where Jason starts, man. This is the reason why Friday the 13th is probably the most well-known horror franchise of all time. And you could say that it starts with the first one, but really it starts here.
Yeah. I'll agree. I agree. There are definitely some aspects of it that I think drag. Some things that could have been fleshed out more. Definitely some plot holes.
Yeah. It's not a perfect movie by far. It's not I would put it above. It's like fourth or fifth for me, but I will say that the gap between my two favorites and then the next three or four it's a sizable gap. It's like 5-star movies to 3-star movies. There's no in between.
I'm trying to think what I would say. Of the ones that I don't like, well, I mean, of course it's better than Jason X. I would say it's better than Jason Goes to Hell. And I'm not... Jason Goes to Hell, not my favorite. I didn't need all the Evil Dead inspired mythos. I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
I will say that a large part of what carries the movie for me to the level that I put it at is Amy Steele.
Yeah, for sure.
Not if Ginny Field isn't in this movie and Amy Steele isn't giving Ginny Field the strength and the resolve to be one of the best final girls in the series, if not the best. I've never really thought about which one I think is the best, but let's just say one of the upper tier. If it wasn't for her, this movie would be a snooze fest.
I think Tina's the best final girl.
I'm juggling. I can see the argument for it. I won't fight you on it.
Don't you gotta love the way she fucks him up.
Oh no, dude, I'm not fighting on it. I can see the argument for Tina, and I have a hard time arguing against it. Tina is badass. No question about it.
One of my favorite moments in all of the Friday movies is when they're in the basement by the boiler and he rips the cord off his neck and slams it on the floor like, you bitch.
Yes. And then he does it again when she launches the nails at him and he pulls that one out of his forehead and he's just got this look like, motherfucker. I'm going to make you pay. I am going to make you fucking pay.
Yeah. Now I'm really looking forward to doing that one.
Yeah, 7 is definitely... I love 7. Unapologetically love it.
I unapologetically love 5.
That'll be an interesting one to do.
And I like Pam as the final girl. I wouldn't say she's among the best. I like her.
I would definitely.
Go ahead.
I would put her not at the bottom, but close. Mainly because she's so ineffectual. I can't think of a single offensive thing that she really does.
I'll accept that.
And for me, that is a huge component of a quality final girl. Is not just being there, but going, I'm afraid, but I want to survive. I have to take action.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't really have that. No, that's true. That's true. But that will be an interesting commentary for sure.
Yes, that one. I have a feeling there's a few of them that we deviate on, and I know that's one of them.
Well, who knows? You may change my mind on certain things. I have a feeling I'm not going to change your mind on anything.
Well, I know there's one that you're not very fond of, that will be coming up in the future, and I know that one's going to be interesting because I love it and you don't.
Yeah. Well, until then, we'll definitely have that to look forward to.
Yep. Only 93 movies to go.
But, but no Jason X.
But no Jason X.
No Freddy versus Jason.
Because we're not sadists.
No. Well,
I'm going to try and get you to do Freddy versus Jason. I'm hoping. I won't push for Jason X, though, because I don't know that I can stomach that.
Well, Freddy versus Jason, I could probably be talked into, only just to make fun of how fucking stupid it is.
I can live with that.
And how many holes there are in the goddamn plot. That one has more holes than I think any of the Friday movies. There's so much of it that makes no sense.
I won't argue that.
And
I can't argue that.
No, you can't. And I actually did record a commentary for that one, but it didn't turn out. So that's probably a good thing. Okay. Well, Jed, I want to thank you for coming back. It was a blast again.
Yes, thank you for having me. Can't wait to set the date to do part 3.
Absolutely. Well, and I want to thank everybody for listening. And until next time, this is Brandon Ford wishing you all unpleasant dreams.